So normally I come on here and we talk about different things that are impacting our economy, impacting our money, impacting our wallets. This is something that we have to do because if we don't, nobody else is going to look after you. It's all you. Now, today I want to talk about the two greatest threats to our nation, and these are all possible here in 2023. Now, I'm not talking about a war, although a war with Russia would definitely constitute a third major threat. But no, this is excluding the possibility of a war or going to war with China over Taiwan. It's completely different. What I'm talking about today, this is all here in the U.S. This is the debt ceiling and also the commercial mortgage debt crisis that could cripple our entire economy. Experts believe this could be worse than what happened in 2008. Now, how do we fix these? Well, let's address what's going on. And first, all I ask is if you can spend just 2 seconds, go ahead, hit that like button for the YouTube algorithm, and let's begin. So let's address the commercial debt bomb that we are about to see go off. And then I will explain what Democrats have planned for the debt ceiling. Because yes, Democrats have a plan, and they've had this plan in place for months. Here's what we know regarding commercial mortgage debt. This is about to explode. Experts say that in its explosion, it is going to take down much of the U.S. with it. We will see bigger banks go under, we will see businesses close, and millions will lose their jobs. Our economy will be changed forever. Many believe this will be worse than in 2008 because of all the dominoes that fall after commercial mortgages. Again, this is something that we haven't really seen before, but experts believe this will be the biggest threat. Now, how do we get away from a commercial debt bomb? Well, according to experts, they say we can't. At least not unless the Fed comes out and starts cutting interest rates substantially. It's interesting, I talk about this today on May 3rd, 2023, because today, on May 3rd, we are going to get the Federal Reserve to come out and let us know whether they're going to raise interest rates, they're going to pause rates, or are they going to start dropping rates? Well, the expectation is we're going to see another 25 basis point rate hike, so going in the wrong direction. This is why many experts believe it's just a matter of months before everything comes crashing down. Now, this is why it's putting even more pressure on Congress to increase our debt ceiling, because if they don't, both of these things will happen almost at the exact same time. So we even heard from House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries, and he had this to say. He said, and I quote, "A dangerous default is not an option. Making sure that America pays its bills and not the extreme ransom note demanded by Republicans is the only responsible course of action." But others question, is it? Is a lifetime of debt the only other option? Is taking a default off the table so that Democrats can continue to spend our hard-earned taxpayer dollars on their agenda? Is that the best option? Well, where do we go from here? Well, here's what's happening right now. Democrats have been slowly putting something together. This thing is called a discharge petition. We've heard about it in the past. Nobody really did it. Now, what they're trying to do is, they've had this plan since January. A discharge petition would require 218 signatures in the House of Representatives. This means that all Democrats would need to sign, plus 5 Republicans. Right now, it's pretty clear that Republicans are not going to sign this petition. And it's because of this that we have another standstill. Now, here's where things get very interesting. What we know is that Republicans have a piece of legislation on the table. Democrats absolutely hate it. We also know Democrats, they have an idea. Well, it's just to raise the debt ceiling with no limitations, no restrictions, no cuts. That's their idea. Republicans say absolutely not. Now, Democrats have had this plan of a discharge petition in their back pocket for months now and are hoping that Republicans see how bad the optics would look if they don't sign on to this. But at the same time, Republicans also have a bill, and they feel that Democrats would need to vote with them or else they would risk looking bad as well. This is where things get very tricky. This is why I bring this up, because what's happening right now is that both parties are trying to figure out how do they get the upper hand? What do they do? Well, what we know is that both parties are pretty much stuck. They're both trying to figure this out. We only have 1 month left. 1 month. But in this 1 month, we will get more done than we have over the past year. That's a guarantee. Here's what experts believe we are going to do, and this is where we go from here. Experts believe that Republicans are going to simply walk back some of their asks, especially when they meet with President Biden here on May 9th. That's a week from yesterday. Now, they could raise the debt ceiling. They could remove work requirements for Medicaid and SNAP, and that's what experts anticipate is going to happen. That they're going to raise the debt ceiling by at least $1.5 trillion. Republicans could also go on and demand less spending cuts. Okay? Instead of $4.5 trillion over the next 10 years, which comes out to $450 billion every single year, what if we cut that in half? Right? What if instead of $4.5 trillion, what if it's only $2.25? But where does President Biden, where is he going to decide to budge? Where do Republicans look to budge? Well, here's the problem. Republicans want one thing that they are demanding be in here is student debt forgiveness. They want that canceled. They do not want that. President Biden promised this. So if President Biden walks this back, and I think this is the big issue, we are going to see major backlash. So President Biden can't do that. But that is something that experts believe Republicans will demand is included. Well, here's what we know as far as Democrats are concerned. Republicans are not going to just raise the debt ceiling without limitations, absolutely no restrictions. Democrats have said they will address spending cuts separately, but they want to do this again in the future. But here's what we know. A promise to do something in the future does not work. Just think about all those Social Security recipients that they can vouch on this because they were told by President Biden himself, we are going to see a $200 per month increase to Social Security benefits. He was going to push for that. It's not happening. He also said he was going to forgive student loan debt. It doesn't look like that's happening. So for Democrats to come out and say, we are going to address this in the future, it's something that Republicans just can't stand behind. Here's the other big change. Democrats are also pushing for a debt ceiling increase for 2 years, not just one. You know why this is important? In 1 year, we are going to be in the middle of a presidential election, right? Well, maybe not in the middle, but coming to the end. When this happens, nobody's going to want to increase the debt ceiling. Nobody's going to talk about spending cuts. Nobody's going to do any of this stuff. So we will be back in the same situation in 1 year. This is why Democrats say we need to increase the debt ceiling for 2 years. Let's address it in 2025. Experts do believe that increasing the debt ceiling for 2 years makes much more sense and again would push the vote to 2025, which is not an election year. But what would Republicans be asking for in order to raise the debt ceiling for 2 years instead of just one? They could agree on some spending cuts now. They could get this deal done. But again, this is one of the greatest threats to the U.S. economy. Another one is if we continue to rack up debt. Now, experts don't know how close we will get to a default, but they do believe Congress will finally step in and they will pass a bill that would get us over this hurdle. The only problem is, how far do we go? Do we go 1 year? Do we go 2 years? Are we going to be addressing this in the next 6 months? These are all questions that people are asking, where do we go from here? And this is why many are saying that this is one of the greatest threats to the U.S. economy, is because nobody knows what's going to happen. Are we going to see spending cuts to just pivotal programs? If we do, how many millions of Americans are going to be impacted? Again, we don't know. But this is why this is dangerous. Because right now, all parties involved will be impacted. We know that. So, I promise I will keep you updated on everything that's going on. I'll keep you updated on the debt ceiling, keep you updated on the commercial mortgage bomb that could potentially go off any day. Again, this is troubling, but I will be here every step of the way. All you gotta do is do two things. First off, make sure you hit that like button on this video and also click that subscribe button so you never miss an update. But again, thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys on the next one.